My name is Anthony Salas. I am the Senior Manager of Events and Membership with Welcoming America. And I welcome you to today's presentation titled Resources and Best Practices for Planning Your Welcoming Week Events. If you have any questions at any time, please use the chat feature where you are entering your locations now. And we will address those as soon as possible or at the end of the presentation. And now it is my pleasure to turn things over to Daniel Valdez, Welcoming America's Senior Director of External Affairs.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from today. My name is Daniel Valdez. I am the Senior Director for External Affairs at Welcoming America. Thank you, Anthony, Korn, and our speakers for taking the time to be with us today for this webinar. We're very, very excited about kicking off the planning for this year's Welcoming Week. As Anthony had mentioned earlier, if you're just joining us, please let us know where you're joining us from today in the chat. Please introduce yourself there on the chat. So if we can go ahead and get started with the presentation, Anthony, and go to the next slide. So today we are going to kick off our planning for Welcoming Week 2022. We're going to talk a little bit about what's Welcoming Week for folks who are new to Welcoming Week. We're also going to share out some more details about our theme for this year. And we're also going to be able to share some resources and information about where you can join our resources page and get all of the toolkits and information that we have available for you all to use. And then we are also going to be hearing from some of our partners about their work around Welcoming Week in the past and some of the things that they'll be working on for this year. So very, very excited to get this going. So we'll go on and go on to the next slide, please. So here are today's speakers. We'll ask everyone to introduce themselves once they're up for speaking, but I wanted you all to see the slide of all the different folks that we have. We also want to thank all of our interpreters here today who are making sure that we're able to provide this in a variety of languages. Let's go to the next slide, Anthony. So we are very excited this year to be celebrating 10 years of Welcoming Week. We launched Welcoming Week in 2012, and it was launched by Welcoming America and its members. Welcoming Week provides individuals and communities the opportunity to proclaim welcoming values through events and local initiatives that foster mutual understanding between migrants and non-migrants, as well as deeper belonging for all. Over these past 10 years, we have seen the power that Welcoming Week has to help advance the goals and missions of many local communities to become more welcoming and inclusive to their newcomer neighbors. Over this past decade, we have seen thousands and thousands of events that uplift and embody our welcoming principles, bringing together thousands of people across differences and cultivating long-lasting relationships and change. We're excited to continue to bring in new communities here in the United States and across the world. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Welcoming Week is. If we can go to the next slide, Anthony. Our purpose. So Welcoming Week is an annual campaign and celebration that showcases the movement of communities striving to be more welcoming places for all, including to migrants. Welcoming Week can serve local communities and organizations in a variety of ways, from an opportunity to celebrate and highlight the contributions of newcomers and migrants in local communities, to catalyzing the start of deep structural welcoming and equity work. Welcoming Week can be a tool to reach people who are conflicted about migrants and newcomers, as well as people who are supportive but do not know how to help. Today, we will hear from two communities about their Welcoming Week efforts and how they have leveraged this initiative to help support their local efforts. For Welcoming America, Welcoming Week has and continues to serve as an on-ramp on the work of building welcoming communities for everyday people, for our members, and for groups new to the work. This is a first step to engage in a lot of ways. It's a powerful moment of affirmation that strengthens the narrative that welcoming is a broadly embraced ideal and practice, and it's growing each day in the breadth of people and places that endorse it. So as I mentioned earlier, we have seen the growth of Welcoming Week, not just here in the United States, but across the world. And so Welcoming Week is now a global movement. As I mentioned earlier, over the past 10 years, and more recently over the past few years, we have seen an increase in communities outside the United States engaging with Welcoming Week. We are so grateful for the support of our national partners in countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, who are participating in Welcoming Week and helping us expand the global reach of this movement. We will hear from one of our international partners today, and we are excited to expand this beyond the countries that I mentioned. I know there's going to be a lot of other places that are going to be supporting and participating in Welcoming Week. From all kinds of communities from all over the world. And we're very excited and looking forward to that this year. So we can go on to the next couple of slides. Anthony, I mentioned the growth of Welcoming Week. We will hear more from my coworker, Cornelius, about our branding expansions around our logos and our language access around Welcoming Week, so that we are continuing to increase the global outreach and footprint of Welcoming Week. Let's go on to the next slide to talk a little bit about the theme. So the theme for 2022 is where we belong. By focusing on the places and spaces that foster belonging, things like cities, workplaces, and neighborhoods, the theme, where we belong, aims to go deeper and spark individual reflection on how and why belonging occurs and ways we can break barriers so that places can foster belonging for all, including immigrants and refugees. Cities, towns, counties, and nations, and the institutions within them can lean into what makes their communities welcoming places and showcase how it helps foster belonging for all people, especially immigrants. By doing this, we demonstrate the scale and breadth of Welcoming Week spreading across the globe, leaning into the universal values of welcoming places and individuals by helping others belong and feel at home. In addition to our main theme of where we belong, we will also have additional mini themes each day during Welcoming Week. And this will be based on our welcoming standard that we developed here in the United States. It's a framework areas of welcoming values and our practices that ladder up to this larger theme of where we belong. Several national organizations, including Welcoming America, Welcoming Australia, Immigration New Zealand, Inclusive Cities programs in the UK, and other programs, have developed national welcoming standards similar to our welcoming standard here in the United States. Event hosts may want to reference their country's national standards to develop daily themes, if there's one, or use the theme days that we have here that can be localized and adapted to your context. Examples on how to incorporate these daily themes into your Welcoming Week events and strategies can be found in our toolkit. My colleague Korn will expand more on the tools and resources that we have made available to all of you to ensure that your Welcoming Week events are successful and can provide some functional tools to make your planning and execution a lot easier. Thank you all again for making time to join us, and I'm very excited to hear from the rest of our speakers. I will pass it on now to my colleague, Cornelius Lewis, who will share more about our resources and our toolkit.
Thank you so much, Daniel. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. Thank you, Anthony. Welcome, everyone. Excited to see so many people from all over the world interested in celebrating Welcoming Week 2022 with us and within their communities. My name is Cornelius Lewis. I'm the Digital Engagement Manager here at Welcoming America, and I'm based in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And today I'll be going over all the communications pieces related to Welcoming Week, and that includes our new logo, the landing page and toolkit, which has everything you need in regards to planning and promoting your Welcoming Week events. I'll also be sharing ways that you can leverage individuals and organizations with your community to celebrate Welcoming Week. We'll also hear a bit later two examples, one from New Zealand and one from Cleveland here in the US about activations that they've done. Next slide, please, Anthony. So I wanted to start by giving you all just a snapshot of our engagement from last year, just to give you an idea of the breadth of the campaign, which is now in its 10th year. As you can see, there are some numbers that back this up, and we wanted to just showcase that you're being part of a movement here when you're participating in Welcoming Week, and that's an exciting thing. Next slide, please, Anthony. So to expand on the global mindset that Daniel was talking about earlier, we've created a set of multilingual assets and redesigned the actual Welcoming Week logo to be more international friendly. So this new logo you can see here has been translated into French, Spanish, German, and Italian. Additionally, there are translations of our toolkit and brand guide that can be located in our visual assets folder. Next slide, please, Anthony. Our landing page is currently active, and it's the primary resource for all things Welcoming Week and can be accessed at welcomingweek.org. I'm just going to take a second and drop some of these links in the chat so you all can kind of take a look at that and start exploring. That's the toolkit, the landing page, and the visual assets folder that I mentioned there. So you can go ahead and start familiarizing yourself. The landing page includes an overview of this year's theme, as well as a variety of ways to get involved. That includes getting Welcoming Week swag like t-shirts or hats. We have international shipping for our store. A lot of participants like to showcase and participate by wearing some of Welcoming Week gear. It also includes all the social media resources you'll need, whether you're promoting an event or celebrating as an individual. That includes the new logos, which are available in full color and accessible versions for low visibility folks, Facebook filters, marketing strategies, Instagram stickers. While we're on the topic of social media, I want to take a second and really encourage you to use the event hashtags. That's hashtag Welcoming Week 2022 and this year's theme, hashtag Where We Belong. This allows us to connect with each other during Welcoming Week and really amplify the campaign collectively. The landing page also includes an event submission form. Just a note that events are not editable by the user after submission, so please make sure you have as much of your event details as possible before inputting that. If you need to edit your event or made a mistake or have technical questions about the submission form, please don't hesitate to email me at communications@welcomingamerica.org. Once your event is registered, it will appear in the event map on the event directory and on the interactive map that will feature all of Welcoming Week 2022's events happening around the world. Over 450 events happened last year. We would love to see more of that map filled out with our global partners and in the US as well. The only way to get your event listed is to register it. So please take the time to do so and make sure that your partners as well are aware of the submission form. Next slide, please, Anthony. So So moving on to the toolkit, which you can start exploring in the set of links that I set. The toolkit will provide really in-depth information for how to plan and promote your Welcoming Week event. This includes past event examples and ideas, a planning checklist, as well as a link to a welcoming proclamation template that you could repurpose for your own community. There are also a variety of communications tools and templates. All the visual pieces associated with Welcoming Week 2022 are in the toolkit. That's the welcomer signs, as you see here, the logos, as we mentioned previously, PowerPoint templates if you're having virtual events, customizable social media graphics, and templated social media language for all of the different social platforms. There's also a sample press release in the toolkit, and we encourage you all to really drum up local media. We've noticed that there's just a huge way to catalyze our efforts through local media. You all are in your communities, you have these contexts. Please feel free to use that sample press release and reach out. We see a real media storm around Welcoming Week when this is implemented. Also wanted to note that the toolkit is translated into French, Spanish, Italian, and German as well. Next slide, please, Anthony. So one of the great things about Welcoming Week is that it provides a way for communities to come together, not only just newcomers or refugees or immigrants. It's the entire community that can activate around this. And that's really the point. In the US, a longtime Welcoming Week partner has been the YMCA. The YMCA is the largest youth development organization in the US and a trusted partner in its communities. The Y brings individuals and local organizations together for events to further amplify Welcoming Week's message. We encourage you to do the same. Reach out to other organizations, businesses, Facebook groups on social media, neighborhood listservs. Get anybody and everyone that you would think that would want to be involved with your event or anything that you're doing from Welcoming Week 2022 to get involved. So that's it for all I have for the comms related. We'll send you all compiled resources to share with your networks. And thank you again for signing up. I want to take a moment now. We're going to head on into some examples. We've got a recording from last night's presentation that we did from Stephanie Velvin, and she's the Community Development Manager, Palmerston North City Council in New Zealand. And she gave some wonderful examples. So Anthony's gonna cue up that video. We'll watch that, and then we'll carry on with another example from Cleveland after that.
North is a small city in the North Island of New Zealand. It's about 2 hours drive from Wellington. It has a population of just under 90,000. The mana whenua, or Indigenous people of this land, are Rangitane or Manawatu, and we work really closely with them in the Welcoming Communities program here. We are a very diverse community. We have about 150 different ethnic communities living here, and we have a long history of welcoming to the community. We've been a refugee resettlement location for about 15 years, and we receive a lot of international students coming to study here. So this presentation, I will talk about two Welcoming Week campaigns we've conducted, and a little bit about what we've learned along the way. For us, Welcoming Week is an anchor point in the year for our Welcoming Communities program. It's a point where we focus our energy and really promote our welcoming messages and events. It provides a nice balance for us to Race Relations Day in March, which is when we hold our big annual Festival of Cultures event in the city. So it really complements that nicely. So Palmerston North was one of the first cities in New Zealand to participate in Welcoming Week in 2019. We led out a campaign around the tag Palmy Welcomes, and we had a range of events, social media content, and initiatives that we put in place during the week. And we had quite a successful first campaign, and we reached over 10,000 community members in the various interactions. We learned a lot in this first welcoming week about what works well for us and where to put our energies. This photo here is from an international student welcome we had in the council chamber, which was really successful. We designed some ways to welcome tips that were promoted on our council Facebook page. We ran a photo competition, which was really lovely to see some examples of locals who were demonstrating through their photos ways that they're welcoming in their neighbourhoods. And we had a little incentive of a gift card, which worked quite well to get some engagement. But the most successful thing that we did in 2019 was we created 3 videos that showcased different examples of welcoming and action in our community. And we really wanted to highlight stories of welcomers in Palmerston North. So we created 3 videos of different angles or different stories of welcome. The first one highlighted a rangitane, the Indigenous people cultural welcome, and that's the top video there, Te Ahi Kaya, and that welcome actually took place at that international student welcome event that was in the earlier slide. The second video we made was with a local business, demonstrating the ways that employers can be intentionally inclusive and welcoming of their new employees. And the third video was a story about a local high school student who had set up an after-school club for refugee background children in her community. She had worked with a community centre in her neighbourhood and organised the after-school club where the children could come and do crafts and music and sport together with, other resident local children. And it was really lovely to see the friendships that they made and be able to tell that story through the video. So these videos are where the bulk of our social media engagement came from. And while they were a little bit resource heavy to coordinate, we still use them 3 years later. And this is the thing that's really stuck in people's minds over time. And it highlighted for us the power of telling those local stories. So in 2020, we wanted to try some different things from what we'd done in 2019, but also take forward what we'd learned. We unfortunately had some resource constraints due to COVID-19, so we were unable to make more videos, but we did create some infographics for social media content, and we carried forward our Palmy Welcomes hashtag for continuity. So we created 3 infographics for our Facebook page, one around ethnicities, one around languages in Palmerston North, and one around newcomers. We also so that was one element of 3. The second element was we organised a community chalk mural event. So we had to be a bit creative because we had some government settings at the time around restricting indoor gatherings. So we decided to have an outdoor event in our city centre. We engaged a couple of local artists to create a design around the theme of inclusion. And then we invited passers-by on the day, and we invited community members to come down and fill in and take part in the creation of the chalk mural. During this event, we also launched our third element of the 2020 Welcoming Week campaign, which was an interactive initiative targeting families, because Welcoming Week also falls in one of our school holidays. And this was the Passport to Play Multicultural Edition. So it's literally a literal passport-sized booklet that encourages families to get out and about around the city and explore 10 sites where there is a cultural significance on display. And then at each site, there's a little post with an etching on the top, so families can go around and collect all the stamps around the city and learn about the different cultures here in Palmerston North. So hundreds of passports were completed over the school holiday period, and we've since done a reprint at the end of the summer in line with the Festival of Cultures. In 2021, unfortunately, after all that momentum we built, Delta arrived to spoil the party in August last year, so we weren't able to proceed with our Welcoming Week plans for 2021. So all we managed was this Facebook post, which brings us to 2022. We're currently in the planning phase for our Welcoming Week, and we're reflecting on the things that have worked well and trying to come up with some new ideas for this year. We'll probably do some more video content. We'll continue that Palmy Welcomes key message, and we'll probably have something interactive and engaging in terms of an activity for families, like a colouring competition or something like that. We also have some aspirations in terms of improvement. So we'd like to align Welcoming Week better with Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, which is our Māori language week in New Zealand, because the dates overlap. And we're hoping to have a little bit more community-led activity as well. And overall, we're hoping very much that we don't have to navigate another outbreak of something at the same time. But we're looking forward to seeing what we can come up with for Welcoming Week 2022. Thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation.
All right, much appreciation to Steph Velvin in Palmerston North, New Zealand, for jumping on with us for what was early morning for her last night. Now we want to introduce Elizabeth Kuzma, the program director at Global Cleveland, to talk about what they've been doing.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I just want to say I am wearing my Welcoming America t-shirt. So I wear this t-shirt out and about all the time. I love it. Welcoming Week is an incredible opportunity to really help grow your presence in your community. And sometimes immigration work and integration work, it can be hard, it can be heavy, it can be challenging. This is a great week to really celebrate the diversity in your community, immigrants who have been here for 30 years and immigrants who have been here for 3 days. So we really have embraced Welcoming Week for, I think this is our 4th year doing Welcoming Week. I think we started in 2018 or 2019. And so I'm just going to go through a couple of things that we have done. I loved the last presentation, the chalk mural. That's a fabulous idea. That was a beautiful demonstration of how to, be creative. So when we think about Welcoming Week, we really try to engage, meet people where they are, right? So your local community, kind of what's going on in your local community and how can you fit the context of welcoming into what is happening locally for you. And so in Cleveland, where I live in Ohio, we are a city that was founded by immigrants, successive waves of immigrants from the 1840s or even a little bit earlier, sort of onward. 1798 is when we were founded. So actually from like 1800 onward, the Germans, the Polish, the Italians, the Irish, the Czech, the, Slovaks, the Slovenians, and on and on. And so we love our ethnic food, pierogies, kielbasa, tortillas, everything. And so one of the really awesome things we did a few years ago was we hosted cooking shows with different immigrants who were, great cooks. And they made a dish that was typical of their family or of their home. And they were interviewed by our president, Joe Simperman, who's super charismatic and they're funny and they're lively, and you're in their kitchen, you're in their home, and you're really bringing, right, this cultural experience to you. So the cooking shows were really fun. They were really popular. And some of them professional cooks, and some of them were just, your grandma who makes you pasta every Sunday. So that was really wonderful. We started off by really asking municipalities in our area to write a proclamation or a resolution of welcoming. So we are a city of about 380,000 people, and we have additionally another 700,000 people in our county. So we have many different local governments, and we know that, from a demographic perspective, our immigrants and newcomers are spread out all over. So we asked municipalities who were, very little to quite large to write a welcoming proclamation. And what this allowed us to do was to engage with the political leadership of not just our big city of Cleveland, but with many of these smaller cities and people who maybe weren't used to talking about welcoming or thinking about immigrant integration in as immediate a way as Cleveland was. And with smaller municipalities, it also allowed us to have a much fuller conversation about, did you know you have this number of immigrants in your city? Did you know these are the top 3 languages spoken in your city? And on and on. And so really build that awareness of what kind of community they are to these newcomers in their city. And then that further precipitated us being able to continue to engage with them over the years and build a really substantial relationship, but also advocacy platform with leadership from all over the region. We also really think about intersectionality when we think about welcoming, because not only, are you an Indian American, but you're a student, or you're a mother, or you're an artist, and so really, how do we bring together, points of similarity among many different kinds of people to really demonstrate that newcomers have a place in our community as a newcomer, as an artist, as a parent, as a potential, future voter. And so some of the really sort of dynamic programming we've done is we've focused a lot on how to build a coalition between Black Americans and African immigrants. We've worked on a lot of coalition between Asian immigrants and Asian Americans and Black Americans to sort of disrupt this narrative that helping this group takes away from that group, for example. So really trying to think about how do we work together in new and innovative ways, because when you bring people together and you have an honest conversation about some of these narrative points that are against welcoming, you really start to change people's minds. And so that's been really important to really think about what is sort of the key issues socially happening, and how can we tie immigration and welcoming with our local community to that to really bring people together. We also try to have a big keynote speaker. We were very blessed to have Mr. Kaiser Khan come speak. He's a Gold Star father who spoke at the Democratic National Convention when Hillary Clinton was running. Kaiser Khan he's an attorney. He's a constitutional attorney. He lives in Virginia. He is a peace activist. He's an immigrant. And he was incredible. He also wrote a children's book about the Constitution. So if you don't already have that, I recommend you get it. And we've had Congressman Chuy Garcia from Chicago come speak as well, who is the epitome of, an immigrant who came here and brought a lot of community together, became a community leader, and now represents people and has represented people at many levels of government. And so Chuy is an incredible leader, and we're lucky to have him. So, what are we going to do this year? This year, we are doing a couple of different things. we are actually really focusing on those municipalities that are not just the city of Cleveland and really supporting their own welcoming initiatives. So we have a toolkit, we're getting banners made for them that says, Mayfield Heights is a welcoming city. Don't quote me on the language, but some sort of welcoming banner that they can put at City Hall, over the main street, in front of the high school, sort of wherever in front of the library, sort of whatever makes the most sense for them. And so we're supporting them in hosting several different events in some of these smaller municipalities to really lift up again what's happening locally all throughout the region, because in our case, many of our newcomers move to the suburbs after their first couple of years living in the city. And so we're really focusing on sort of the regional approach this year. And so, one thing that Welcoming Week has really allowed us to do is it's allowed us to push a wider and deeper welcoming agenda throughout the area. So we've been able to work with our county government and our city government to go through the welcoming certified process as a result of continually every year using Welcoming Week as a platform and then using what we've achieved every year to then push our local elected leaders, further in considering how they are inclusive to our newcomer community. So I am proud to say that our county will become Welcome certified and that our city, they're going through the process. I'm not the certification team, but they've been working very hard on becoming certified. And then additionally, our city has started the process as well. And this is something that's taken years to get through, but we've really made some great progress. And we appreciate all the work that Welcoming America has done in terms of having this platform available, having the standard available, making it easy to understand, and then taking this week as a bolster to say, look at what an incredible community we have. We are better because of them. We are better because of you. Thank you for being here. And so the last thing I would just like to share is that to have a successful Welcoming Week, I would really suggest that you, A, be creative. B, create the widest door possible that you can, because what this is meant to do is bring people in. And so, when you're thinking about what kind of activities to do or who to invite or where to focus, really think, how can my net be cast really wide? And how can I get people who maybe don't know an immigrant even to want to participate? So we did a passport party one year, for example, and we gave away a Vitamix to the person who had the furthest stamp, which happened to be Australia. And also remember, everything in your life relates to welcoming. Every single thing, whether it's going to, your children's elementary school, who are the other families that are there, right? Whether it's engaging with your civil institutions, your government, whether it's engaging in commerce, you go shopping. Do you choose to go to Target or do you choose to go to the, other store run by, we have here a refugee store that sells lots of curtains and rugs and things that, you can get for your home made by refugees. So kind of anything that you can think of, I challenge you to think, how can this be tied to welcoming? How can this be tied to the newcomers in my community? And then sort of take that spark and really run with it. So this is as broad and interesting and diverse as you want to make it, because it's about where you are and who lives in your community. And so every community has the opportunity to really own it and to use it to further this welcoming platform and agenda at large. So I really appreciate all of your interest in Welcoming Week. I encourage you to think big, to dream, and to enjoy this September. I'm going to pass it back now. Thanks.
That was fantastic, Elizabeth, and really exciting and inspiring. It's got me really hyped up for September, and look forward to see what y'all are going to do this year, and love the fact that you're reaching out to spreading out like an umbrella now to all these other local communities around you. That's wonderful. We're going to take a moment before we start the Q&A. Anthony is going to walk you through the landing page and just give you a brief walkthrough with a screen share there and show you all that. And then we'll have a question and answer session.
Thanks, Corin. Yeah, I'm going to, here in just a second, bear with me, pull up our landing page so we can kind of go through some of the highlights that Cornelius shared earlier and give you an idea as to what is available on the website, where it's available. Hopefully you can start engaging on that as you see it here. So pull this up here. And while we're doing that, just encourage you, if you've got any questions, when we do move into Q&A here shortly, use the chat area and enter them there, and we'll address those here in just a moment. But once again, here is the landing page, the website for Welcoming Week. So you can go to welcomingweek.org and you'll come right to this page here. As you scroll down, I'm just going to run through this really quickly. First area here, you can sign up to get updates. So if you are not part of our email list, you can go ahead and click there, and you'll be added to our email list so you can get the updates as those start being distributed. One thing I'll note too is for anyone on this call that is a member, we will be also using the member forum for updates and sharing. So make sure that you are registered and set up with the member forum. If you're not, you can reach out to us at events@welcomingamerica.org, and we'll make sure you get set up with that. If you're not a member and you're interested, you can send us an email there as well. We'd be happy to talk to you about membership. But again, encourage you to sign up for the updates so you can stay up to date with the latest. You'll see a section here about the theme of this year's Welcoming Week events. Again, Cornelius referred to the toolkit. You can click here to be taken directly to the toolkit. On this first page, once you're in there, you'll see all of the different items hyperlinked and ready to go. So you can just click them directly, anything specifically that you might want to learn more about, and it'll go right to that particular item for you that is further down into the toolkit. So you can go either through the toolkit and scroll through it, or click the hyperlink and it'll take you right to that. Let's see here, we're gonna go back. Then again, as he mentioned as well, there's various ways to get involved here. So the first thing, as he encouraged, and we definitely want you to do, is host your events, but also make sure that you add them to the list of events here. So all you're going to need to do when you're ready to do that is click on the Add My Event to the map. And this is the form that you will fill out here. So everything that you will need is outlined. Fill out all of the information here as much as you can. And then that will get your event added to the full event listing and the map there. And as he mentioned too, if once you do that, you need to make any changes or updates to your listing, send an email over. We'll share the communications email here in just a moment, but you can send an email and we can make that adjustment for you. Attend an event. As Elizabeth said, this is a great way to kind of work together and be a part of those, and also be supportive of the events that are happening. You can go to this page here, and this is where you can see the interactive map. You can zoom in or out. Once events start getting added, you'll see them listed in this section here. You can also search for events by city, by area, state, what have you, to find the events that are happening close to you, and then you can select the ones that you want to attend. And again, as we shared earlier, the social media options that are available for you to engage with, you can see all of the items there, from templates to logos, to frames and stickers for Facebook and Instagram. You can access all of those. We invite you to visit the online store where you can get items that you can distribute at events or use for your team, such as the t-shirt that Elizabeth showed she's wearing. And then also, if you're interested in the certification program, in our Certified Welcoming Program, we have the information linked here. This is a great time and opportunity to learn more about that and start that process. So feel free to look into that a little bit more. There are emails and contacts within that area. So if you do want to learn more, you can reach out. And then as we start getting into Welcoming Week and get closer, we will start adding some updates in the news and social media section. And then our overall event sponsors and partners will start populating in this section here. So hopefully that gives a little bit of insight and help into welcomingweek.org and all of the information that is available there. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing here and we will go into some questions. There was one question that I saw a little earlier. Cornelius, I'm going to actually tag you on this one. And the question there was, how much in advance do you recommend writing and publicizing a written declaration?
Yeah, absolutely. And Elizabeth provided some really great context for that. And she answered that question from Alejandra and said that they usually try to give 3 months. I imagine that's for like a really formal proclamation that's handed down by the local governmental institutions there. I would say if you're just wanting to issue your own proclamation, you probably won't need that much lead time. I would say 4 to 6 weeks in advance, I'd have that written. And certainly if you're trying to get that picked up by local media, usually a 4 to 6 week lead time there would work. In terms of publicizing, usually most folks that do a proclamation, they pick a day. As Daniel mentioned, there are themes, daily themes that are happening. So you could align that proclamation with that theme and how it relates to something that's going on in your community. But certainly the publicizing of the proclamation happens during one of the Welcoming Week days, September 9th through 18th.
Great, thanks for expanding on that one. Another question that I'm going to direct to you as well is, can we add logos and or imagery to some of the visual templates that we're providing? And I'm assuming that's maybe organization or their own logos, kind of combining them with the Welcoming Week logos.
Absolutely. And we strongly encourage it. We have some brand guidelines that are available. And that's in that visual assets folder that you can refer to in terms of best practices. We also have some blank templates that are coming along. And if any of you are familiar with Canva, we'll be sharing a number of Canva templates and really encourage y'all to remix and redo these graphics and apply them however you feel. If you want any guidance on that or are unsure of anything, don't hesitate to reach out to that email there, communications@welcomingamerica.org. I'm happy to do the best I can to help with that.
Great, thanks, Corn. Appreciate that. Question 2 is, how early can we add our events to the web page? And I would certainly say if you've got an event ready, go ahead and add it. That link is live and ready to go. So as soon as you've got an event that you feel you've got all of the information for, you're certainly welcome to start adding. What I'd encourage you to do is go to that link on the page and look at all of the information that we do either require or encourage you to include on that, so that your event listing is robust and does provide a lot of great information, so people, when they start doing their searches, they can see that. I think also once you do that, you'll see your event listed, and then once you see that, use that URL and start sharing that out so people can also visit that and see not only your listing, but also know how to look at other events happening in that same area as well. All right, I'm going to do a quick search here. I know we're coming up on the top of the hour, so we want to stay respectful of everyone's time. Does look like we have gone through all of the questions at this point. So
there's one question, Anthony,
yeah, this one.
Virtual programming. Sharon, you wanted to know, and I was thinking perhaps Elizabeth, you could touch on that if you had. I'm sure y'all during the pandemic did some virtual programming.
Yeah, absolutely. We held, let's see, I think we held a panel discussion every day. At least last year, if not the year before, we sort of like did almost 3 virtual events a day. That's a little excessive, I would say, but we were able to get between like 30 and 60 people to most of them. So if that's something you promote well and you focus on something that's really, you know, dynamic, those are great options.
Great ideas. I'll also share something that we did in 2020 during the pandemic. If you have the ability to, we actually did a screening of a documentary virtually. And then what we did was invited people to join after for a virtual discussion with someone that was associated with that documentary. So it was a great way to interact with someone that was involved with that, and then also bring people together that had some similar questions and just experiences as well. So that is another thing that we did find that was very successful. All right, so Daniel, I think I'm going to turn it over to you for some closing comments.
Yes, well, I just want to thank our speakers, Elizabeth, Steph, for providing information. Of course, our interpreters today for helping us make this language accessible for folks. We've recorded this, so we will be sending it out as well, so you will have access to this as well. Just a reminder to please sign up to receive our newsletter and our information. We really want to have as many events listed on our Welcoming Week page. So please make sure to post your events there as well when you have those ready to go. And any questions that you have, please reach out to communications@welcomingamerica.org. We'd be happy to chat with you further. And for those of you that are members, don't hesitate to reach out to your network contact here at Welcoming America. They will also be happy to connect with you and help you as you begin to plan and to think about what kinds of Welcoming Week events you all will be hosting this year. So thank you all again. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great holiday weekend. Stay safe. And we look forward to engaging and seeing you throughout the season, and really looking forward to Welcoming Week this year. Thank you.